Hey there, Wastrels! Katogenesis here, with some tips for the post-apocalyptic Kung Fu Fable action RPG, Biomutant. Just like the genre cluster that this game falls under, there's a lot of stuff in the game itself, some of it mixed reception, some of it I enjoyed very much. But there are a few things I wish I'd learned when I started playing the game, or earlier in the game than when the game actually tells you. So that's what you can expect here. Here are this many tips and tricks I wish I knew before I started playing Biomutant. After you've decided on your fuzzy little critter's breed, character attributes, and their class, know that weapons in the game are not class locked at all. And their weapon combos, their Wung Fu, will unlock when you pick up or craft those weapons. The other reason that weapons are not class locked is that there are some enemy types in Biomutant that will encourage you to switch between melee and ranged. If you go in expecting pure melee, flying enemies will be a nightmare for you. The same can be applied with guns once you encounter fully armored foes that can deflect every shot. So know that there is a reason why you can have melee and ranged weapons equipped at the same time, because there will be enemies that are better taken care of with one or the other. Or you can just use psi abilities, those melt everything if your intelligence is high enough. If you are familiar with third-person action games, expect the difficulty curve to disappear pretty quickly on normal. After playing most of the game on normal, I wish I had switched to hard much earlier, if not at the start. If you are familiar with other action games such as Kingdoms of Amalur, or Devil May Cry, or Shadow of Mordor / Shadow of War, then you might want to try playing it on hard mode just to see if it's more your speed. Terminology in this game is all over the place, from weird names for creatures and objects like dinglebobs and dwingtwangs to actual words you can recognize, like the corporation that's part of Biomutant's world building. Some of these are onomatopoeia, like just sound effects made into words to describe something. These string plonks and twingtwangs refer to pianos and guitars respectively, and some of it has devolved into baby talk. The material that is clearly rubber is now called rubby, so just be prepared for some silly lingo. Oh, and really bad puns in dialogue. Basically, whatever the NPC's theme is, they're gonna make puns about it. The default dialogue in Biomutant is a mixture of gibberish and third-person narration. Your actions and objectives are also sometimes narrated. Thanks to the first patch, you can toggle either the narration, the gibberish, or both off depending on your preference. I myself found the narration more distracting, so I toggled that aspect off after some time. Points and stats and points and stats. These are always fun when it comes to RPG elements, aren't they? There's 3 types of points in the game you earn through playing to empower your character: upgrade points, psi points, and bio points. The upgrade points are for perks and unlocking combos. 1 upgrade point is gained each time you level up, and if you take out a bandit outpost, you'll have access to an upgrade point codex that will give you a free point too. Psi points are for your character's mind powers. You'll find levitation and shooting lightning from your fingers in this category. Instead of through leveling up, psi points are gained through simply playing the game and finding psi shrines, which are pretty much all over the map, but guaranteed to be found in most faction strongholds. This is both who you choose as an ally and your enemies in the faction wars, and most of these psi shrines will be towards the entrance of the bases. Make sure you're stopping by the outposts that your tribe has claimed to find those psi shrines, as well as check for them after you take over an enemy stronghold. Psi points can also be gained by helping or harming prisoners. The third and final points are bio points. These unlock biogenetics and resistances. Pretty early on, you're shown the bioblob containers which you can get the bio points from. And I'm also pretty sure early on you fight biohazardous enemies, so you can assume when you get to a biohazard area, you will fight more enemies that will drop bioblobs or bio points. So while I'm sure you've heard it before, starting your character with the maximum biohazard resistance of 25% and then boosting it with the first bioblobs you get towards the beginning will ultimately speed up the process in getting more bioblobs faster, because you'll be safe in the biohazard areas. But that's the gist. Upgrade points are perks and weapon combos, psi points for psi powers, and bio points for mutations and resistances. After leveling up, you not only get an upgrade point to spend on new perks or Wong Fu, but it starts with a boost to one of your attributes by 10. Even though some armor can grant bonuses to health and other derived stats, charisma and luck appear to be only modified by boosting them from a level up, which are finite as the game is now because the max level is 50. Since Biomutant has such a massive focus on loot, raising luck and getting the luck out perk so your loot chance is at least 20% should be a priority. Unless you're a psi freak, mix that with intelligence, otherwise your powers are going to be underpowered. On the subject of powers, especially the mobility powers, blaze, fungi, and levitation are all incredibly useful when it comes to the verticality of a lot of the locations you're going to be exploring, or just getting around on foot in the case of blaze. It's essentially just an extra long dodge with a fraction of a second between casts if you want. I did learn that you can actually combine these abilities too to get more air. If you cast fungi and then use levitation or blaze immediately after coming into contact with the jumping mushroom, you will be launched much higher up. And I've used this on multiple occasions to get up to cliffs that I would otherwise have to run around. Even though you get a choice between the two tribes, Myriad or Jagni, at the beginning of the game, you can change your allegiance to any of the other tribes as long as they haven't been conquered already and you're not a part of their rival tribe. You can change tribes this way by going to their main fortress, which is the one that's marked with a jade token, going to the front gate and asking to speak with their Sifu. After this, conquering a couple of outposts of their rival tribe can gain you their tribe weapon as well as their faction armor. Besides having bragging rights for having all of the faction armors, each set of the tribal armor has different elemental resistances, and while the environmental suits you can collect are an option for this, they don't offer as much protection against attacks as the tribal armors. As another benefit, the tribe armor can also have its defenses increased via workbenches that are floating around over settlements, usually in a balloon. The faction weapons, on the other hand, that you unlock have their own movesets and Wong Fu, but unfortunately cannot be upgraded or modified. I hope that changes in the future. Getting resources for crafting can be done multiple ways. You can find resource totems as the most basic way. You can also scrap some of your less valuable weapon parts and armor add-ons. Another option is miscellaneous items, because they don't appear to serve any purpose except for selling or scrapping. You'll find high value in pearls you can find in clams near the water, while various junk items like tape and glue are, from the looks of it, designed to be scrapped. When it comes to modifying your gear and breaking it down into components, fortunately dismantling constructed items will actually give you all of the parts back instead of breaking them down into materials. It's only the second time when you scrap the add-ons when you'll get materials out of them, so you won't accidentally, break something down and then not be able to put it back together. That part is nice. I touched on this a little bit with the pearls thing, but money can be grabbed from green ATMs. You get introduced to these relatively early. They're plant overhangs with green leaves hanging in there, and you just jump through them and you get the money. If you're going the merchant route for getting a lot of your gear and wondering what could get you the most green for minor sacrifice, keep an eye on your consumables called modules. These are the elemental buff things to your weapons, as well as your lower value armor and weapon add-ons. You can get by just fine without using modules at all, and they consistently sell for a good amount of green without having to worry about it later. Low value weapon parts are also a good source of money, as are pearls that I mentioned before from the big clams on the shoreline. While you're in the selling mindset, if you can, avoid selling armor pieces, because some of them might provide you with the resistances you need moment to moment when you're exploring. If you're looking to hoard just all of your equipment regardless, the most value that you can get out of other stuff is the miscellaneous pearls as well as the modules to buff your weapons with. When it comes to weapon crafting and modifying, the base of the weapon is what determines its type. Not the handles, not the grips, not the sights or the barrels, but the base of the weapon. It also doesn't help that some weapons are just completely unique in type, like the tribe weapons, but you can't upgrade those, so no problem, I guess. This is more just confirming that you can put the longest possible handle on a one-handed weapon and it still be one-handed. Now I'd like to hear from you what kind of tips and tricks you have when it comes to Biomutant, and how have you been enjoying it? It's been one of the most mixed games I've seen in a while, and even I myself am mixed on it. I enjoy some aspects and dislike others. But yeah, share your tips and tricks. If you found this useful, entertaining, or both, please do whatever it is you see fit to show that. Among the things you can is by supporting on Patreon for as little as $1, and as a result, being immortalized in the credits like Wasteland Legends, Sven, and Six. Thank you to them and my other patrons. Thanks to you for watching. I'm Kato Genesis, and may you wander the world of Biomutant like you own it.